December 2nd, and it is a balmy 45 degrees out. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? You know, I haven't seen you folks for like 4 days. So what's new? What have you been up to? How was your week? Hope everything's going great. I'm sure folks are curious what's going on over here. And I'm happy to say that today is the day that the person who was in quarantine is going to come out of quarantine. And again, everything stayed. It was just like having a cold. I don't want to say it wasn't a big deal. I mean, we were very concerned. I was very concerned about what was going on. And I was extremely concerned about other people in the house getting it. We kept this one person in one room. You know, I was cooking meals, putting meals over there, bringing up some water, and unfortunately kind of avoiding them because I didn't want to, I didn't want to be near, somebody who was contagious. So there may be a little more tension in the household now, but we did okay, It hasn't spread. I pretty much assumed everything was going to spread through the household, but it seems to be working okay. And I've just been very careful when I've taken plates downstairs, to wash. As soon as I put them in the dishwasher or the sink, I'll sterilize my hands and, wash my hands really well. So hopefully everything's going okay on that, and the sun's poking through the clouds, making me feel good. Well, I have a little bit of bad news. We did lose a possum yesterday in front of the house, and they come to get the seed back here. And I don't really want to talk about it too much because it's kind of sad, but we did lose a possum, and I will sometimes put a plate of food, chickadee right there. See the chickadee? Chickadees are just such happy birds. Oh, there's one right here too. And there's one right there. Looks like we're doing some tree work somewhere around here today. That's cool. So I put a plate of food out last night with a trail cam, and they ate every last bit of it. It is early December, so there's less food. But I'm really hoping there's more woodland creatures, which there obviously are, still out here eating. I did my neighbor's leaf cleanup over that way, and I was shredding the leaves, and I was the lawn was covered with leaves, and all of a sudden I just saw this bird just kind of move as I was mowing. And I keep telling myself something was wrong with the bird, because if it wasn't moving, it would have moved away when I got close to it. But it was a cedar waxwing, which unfortunately had passed away. And first off, cedar waxwings are beautiful birds. The coloring on that bird was, the end of their tails has this really bright yellow on it. And every once in a while you lose a bird, and there have been times we've lost birds where I can never figure out why. They seem perfectly healthy. One time there was a blue jay last year. It seemed perfectly healthy, but it didn't fly away from me. And then over the course of 3 hours, its health kind of declined. And it passed away, and I put some birdseed by it, I put some water by it. I can never really figure that out. What I'll do is I'll do some pictures of whatever I got on this thing, if it's worth looking at, and show you guys later. All right, let me take care of these chickadee-dee-dees, and we'll be right back. I guess all I can say is sometimes it happens. It's early December. It's in the low to mid 40s right now, and the sun is streaming through after we had like a little rain last night, and it's just so refreshing. The ravens actually will help clean up things that get killed on the road, and they were rather enjoying what had happened, but unfortunately there was a lot of traffic. I don't know where everybody went. There we go, the chickadees are back. The blue jays were here. but it's kind of quiet right now. Since I had the leaf blower out, I like to blow all the shucked seeds out of the way, keep it looking neater, help them find the good seeds, but more or less it's more for my benefit just to have it a little neater. But they're definitely back. Got a couple squirrels in there, a couple blue jays. I think that's a wren. So I got something pretty exciting to show you folks. I scored some wood a couple days ago. I've been driving around with it in the back of my truck because I haven't had time to cut it. But everything in the back of the truck, which for the most part is red maple, but I got a piece of cherry here and I got some oak too. Everything in the back of the truck though is the right size to cut with my Husqvarna battery chainsaw. So we're going to do a chainsaw video. We'll do some filing on it, sharpen it up, and then do some cutting and maybe a little bit of splitting too, if anybody watching is longing for one of those. But I just wanted to show you, I was out the other day and I stumbled onto this. And can anybody recognize this plant? I know what it is. I've only planted a few in my career. But what we'll do is, rather than make it a different video, at the end of this video, I'll go over what this is. Which is then going to bring us to today's project, which it's early December, and I want to get these plants in the house. Early December with the garage open, I've got 52 degrees. I want you folks to remember this day because sooner than later we're going to need to. I got started cutting back my potted plants, and again, it's early December. If you haven't been following the series, don't wait till early December to do this. Here in Zone 6, I would say just in early October, go ahead and bring your outdoor plants inside. I'm bringing some impatiens inside just to see what happens. You may not want to, and that's perfectly fine. Now this plant here, which I can't think of the name right now, I want to call it corn plant for obviously reasons, but it's something out of Africa. It's got really, really fragrant flowers. I had flowers on it last winter, and it just blew me away with how fragrant they were. But you see how tall it's gotten over time. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to go ahead and grab the old pruners and cut it. And I feel fairly confident that it's going to come back. Are you there? But if it doesn't come back, that's okay. And, that's the way we learn, folks. Sometimes I'll just do stuff and see what happens. I literally have not watered these plants for about 2 weeks. So, like, this guy over here is showing some drought stress. I strive to teach the ideal world, but show the real world. And if we look at these impatiens, you see here, there's still a little bit of live foliage in there. So I really do think they're going to be perfectly fine. Some of this stuff is going to die, but I think they're going to be fine. So I'm just going to go through and cut these guys back 3 to 4 inches from the ground, and we'll see what happens. And then what I like to do is just go ahead and take the vacuum and vacuum up all the debris in there. Okay, so we got everything cut back. We got all the debris out of there. If there were any bugs mixed in with the debris, we got those as well. So now we can go ahead and bring the plant inside and, see if it's going to grow or not. And I suspect within 2 weeks of giving this some good water, we'll see new growth coming and everything's gonna be fine. I can't overemphasize, I'm doing this way, way, way too late. This really should be done well before the first frost. I did a video about this cart, the ultimate cart, and I got my welder up high off the ground so I don't have to bend over to change the settings. Easy to move around, love it. And then I went and got myself a brand new welding helmet to replace the one that I have that's probably 20 years old, give or take. And right when I was ready to start running some practice beads and I have a muffler repair I need to work on, I brought the plants inside. So the reason we're doing this is because I really want to play with this stuff. But the way elephant ears grow is if you look at the center of the plant and you look for the leaf for each group of stems, look for the leaf that's the highest up, and you'll see there's a new leaf either coming out on it, or if we come over here, you see right over here, this is where the next leaf is going to come. So you never want to cut the top leaf off because that's going to end up badly for your plant. Here, you see this? Through here, this is just coming out on this one. So the new growth, here's the new growth again. You can't even really tell on this one, but eventually this is going to break out. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut all these dead older leaves off and pretty much just leave the highest leaf. All right, folks, we're going to see if we can cut this one back in real time. And I want to say that if this plant wasn't hit by the frost, I would pretty much just bring it inside the way it is. However, because it got hit by the frost, you know, these leaves that are dead, they're not coming back. This is it. So I just want to get them out of there so I don't have this hideous plant to look at all winter. Now in season, every once in a while the lower leaves will die. And if you see that, all you got to do is just get in there, get a pair of scissors and cut them in close to the plant. As thick as elephant ears are, they really are fairly soft. The leaves are fairly soft. So what we're going to do is cut all these leaves off wearing gloves because elephant ear sap, it burns when it gets on your skin. But what we're going to do here is just cut all these out without cutting the last leaf in the center of all the groupings, because right here, this is going to pop out and bring us a new leaf. We can cut this one because it's in the way, and we can cut this one because it's in the way. And just because of who I am, I'm actually going to cut the tip of these off just to have less junk to bring in the house. And then I can cut that off. We just have to be very careful not to cut the leaf that's in the center because that is where the new growth comes from. You can feel it. You'll see there's like a bulge on it, and on the other side, that's the new growth. So we want to avoid cutting that. However, because of who I am and I don't want to deal with an ugly plant, I'm just going to cut the tip of these leaves off without going too far down because I don't want to cut off the new growth point. All right, and then you probably can't see, but over here, there's a new growth point. The one with the growth is usually round. If you look at these, they're round, whereas the other leaves kind of have a U shape on the inside of them. But right here, there's the growth, so we're just going to come above and cut that. I think I'm out of frame, but right here is the new growth, so we'll cut above it. I'm gonna pull this impatient out, but it'll probably grow back. Before I bring them inside, I like to just grab any leaves I can find and get them out of there. And then you can just take a shop vac and vacuum up any debris. Get the maple seeds out of there. These elephant ears catch a lot of maple seeds, so I'll put the crevice tool on and use that, or just take a screwdriver and very gently loosen up those seeds to get those seeds out of there. There we go, folks. You may not get all the debris. I mean, there may still be a few seeds stuck in there, but this is infinitely better than it would have been if we didn't use the vacuum. With these begonias, you know, I'll be honest, I've never overwintered them, and I looked it up, and everything I saw said to cut them back to 5 inches, dig the bulbs out of the pots, let them dry out, store them in a cool place like, you know, 40 to 50 degrees over winter, and then replant them when the weather gets good. But I thought it might be fun to leave them in the pots. And, you know, the reason I'm leaving all this stuff in the pots is because I kind of want to have a head start next year. And even if it doesn't thrive over the winter, I figure if it survives, it'll have a better start than if it has to grow roots again. Unfortunately, I do not own a greenhouse. So we'll see how things go, but you know, I'm just going to cut these back hard too, bring them inside and see what happens. And what I've seen online says that they'll stop blooming when the day length gets shorter. So again, this is kind of an experiment. All right, we got all the dead stuff off. I'll vacuum out the seeds, and then I'll bring it inside and give it some water. There's some weather coming in from the west, which means there's going to be a cold front. So I wanted to get this stuff over here before the rain started, which I'm happy to say I did. But what I'm going to do is I have this this pad here. This is designed to go under a washing machine. So if you go to any of the big box stores for around 30 bucks, you can get one of those. I'm going to give these plants a little bit of fertilizer since they've been without water for so long. But just be careful if you're watering potted plants indoors and the soil is dry, because if you give them a ton of water, the soil shrinks when it dries out, so it can leak through. So, you know, just give them a little bit at a time. All right, folks, so we got everything inside, and what I use for the elephant ears are these little saucers that have wheels on them, and then you can stack them. They stack very neatly off season. That way I can move them around if I need to. I have a boot tray back here for these other pots, and then I did have one saucer over there. But at some point I'll end up redoing this area here, because I want to be able to get to the plug back there, and I also want to be able to get to the window. So this is definitely not final. And then over on this side I do have the one tray, which if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, it's a tray designed to put underneath a washing machine, but it works really good to catch any drips from your plants. So that is pretty much going to do it for this one. If anybody has ever grown overwinter tuberous begonias, I don't care how you did it, please let me know, because I'm pretty sure I'm not doing it the right way, but I just love some feedback about different ways to do it. The second note is I'd be very careful bringing plants in and leaving them on carpet like I'm doing here. This is my office, and the carpet in this room, you know, was in the house 20 years ago when we bought it. It was old and junky carpet. So, you know, the day we replace this carpet, I'll no longer do this. So just be careful. As far as overwintering plants goes, another thing I wanted to mention is be careful. You know, sometimes you'll read not to give plants too much TLC in the winter. And quite often what that turns into for me is barely watering them, barely fertilizing them. You know, don't be afraid to give them water once in a while. Give them some fertilizer once in a while. You know, make sure they're happy, and don't bring them into the spring just barely alive. Otherwise, I do have a fish tank in this room, and every 1 to 3 days I will take a watering can of water out. In the summers, I'll take it outside and dump it in the pod plants outside. Since we have them inside now, I will literally just take the water right from the fish tank and use it in the plants, because the water has nitrites or nitrates or something. The plants seem to enjoy it. So if you have a fish tank, consider that as well. And then the final thing is, you know, the beginning of this video, which is probably going to be a two-parter because there's a lot going on, I mentioned how a member of the family had COVID. They're out of quarantine, everything's fine. So one of my children came home from school today, and at school they were exposed to another student who, I don't know if the exposure was more than 15 minutes or less than 15 minutes, but we've got to monitor that, you know, one of my children now for signs of COVID. So, you know, just be careful, folks, you know, be safe. And again, I'm not really looking for political views. I'm not looking for medical views. I just want to say be safe, be careful. So that is going to wrap it up for this one. And I just want to thank you folks for coming along with me. And again, everything I did in this video was pretty much a worst case scenario, but maybe it gave you some motivation and some ideas for your potted plants. Thanks a lot for watching, folks, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.